Article. I'm going to put this up in support of the 9/11 victims' families that are protesting at Trump's golf course right here, right now, in support of them. So, as you know, I lived in New York. I worked for a hedge fund for all those years, and as people have been watching these videos over the years, I've done really, literally hundreds of videos at the hole, where the towers are now, all those years. I was in New York. I came home right before it happened. I was student professor right here at the #1 school of business in the United States, bar none. I taught the derivative trading class. I used to teach students how to trade options and use options. When 9/11 happened, I was at my house, my big house, and the first plane come through, and I got up here, FBI was in here, stuff sealed up. 5 students were detained on this campus. By the way, the 20th hijacker, you know where he's at? He's home in Saudi Arabia. As you know, they were all Saudis. And Muhammad Ali was Egyptian. 16 of the 19, well, counting the 20th one, 17, were Saudis. Nobody railed on this harder than Trump. I used to go to those rallies. Trump would go crazy. He was all over it, just going off on the Saudi royal family. Now look at him. It just shows for show, Benedict Trump. For sale. These politicians will do, for sale. Golf for their sovereign wealth fund. Now remember, their sovereign wealth fund funded this whole thing. That's an arguable fact. Now, so what I would do in the class, I would basically just give students $50,000 pretend and teach them how to trade options, puts and calls, straddles, strides, how to hedge. That's what I did for a living. I was a derivative arbitrage specialist. I was very good at it. I was famous around here. Again, the #1 school of business in the United States, and that's unarguable. We used to beat Trump's school, Wharton, and Harvard every year. Our sister school was Wharton. I graduated here. I taught here before I got blackballed. Now they're dead last. They got taken over. Their supply chain. They're not finance and economics anymore. And so this is important. So when 9/11 happened, I was one of the very first person that dug it out that they had bought puts on the airline stocks. That's what I taught. Kyle Madsen, who took over for the legendary finance professor Clyde Cooley in '99. Kevin, you think maybe you taught them how? I had plenty of Saudi kids in my class. How? I'm like, I very well might have. Now we know that some of the terrorists came from San Diego and took the back roads through Wendover, Nevada, camped out there. But so here Trump is now on their team. How is this possible? How is this possible? I'm like the rest of you, everybody was like, when 9/11 happened, we were like sick to our stomachs. Everybody was. We knew the world had changed. We knew the U.S. had changed forever. Now remember, when this happened, there was a huge debate going, people like me, on the interest rate. And around Greenspan, I shook Volcker's hand right here. We were Volcker feds. Eccles feds. Eccles is from here. There was a huge debate that, including myself, I did the PPI and the CPI. I'm like, Kyle Madsen, Kevin, you got it wrong. I says, I never got it wrong. This is in the spring of 2000. I would go back and forth from Wall Street to here, teaching, getting the first MBA from the #1 school of business in the country. Don't even get me going. Other dead last. So there was a huge debate. Why is he lowering rates when he should be raising rates? This is a very controversial time, and look how it's played out. 21 years of this. Well, actually 22 years of slashing their rate. So when 9/11 happens, that's when the Fed really started, their stimulus, go shopping, and they've never looked back. Anything that happens, they just throw money at it. So they bought puts on the airline stocks. Very, very, very tight to expiration. Way out of the money. They literally paid pennies on the dollars for them. They literally made 10,000 to 1 shots on every dollar returned to. So I remember standing right here when Bush gave his famous speech. I'm standing right here watching the TV with a lot of other professors. Again, I'm a student professor, and We're going to trace the money. I'm like, they got him. They got him dead to rights. This is T+1 options trade in. They got him. There's a paper trail. I was one of the first ones that identified the paper trail and went right through the Bank of London. And they were Saudis. And the Saudi royal family had funded. They're the ones that bought the puts. Got him. Got him. But Brother Bandar, Bush. So we invade Iraq because some Saudis did that. We invade Afghanistan because, I mean, think about it. Think about the debt. It's like this new bill they put through. Oh, Biden says, yeah, it'll knock off $300 million off the debt. The debt's over $31 trillion. By the way, Trump ran more debt than any freaking president, any 8-year president, by a gazillion times. Obama, Trump ran more debt than the previous, 44 presidents in front of them, 43 presidents in front of them. I mean, and you're still on your knees for this guy? This guy, and like I said, it's unarguable they were Saudis. We got the law. Congress actually changed the law. You can't sue a sovereign wealth fund. What's a sovereign wealth fund? We don't have one, of course. Here, they have one. So think about this. I want you to look up the vote. It was just a couple years ago on the vote on the sovereign wealth fund. Now, what kind of thing can get through unanimously through the Senate? Almost unanimously through the House. Oh, it did. Did you know Obama vetoed it? How many vetoes did Obama sign in 8 years? I think 6. He vetoed it. Why would he do such a thing? So they had to override the veto, which they did, to sue them. That was supposed to be 4 or 5 years ago. Settled. In the Senate vote, there was only, I think, 3 senators that voted against the override. I think it was 96 to 3. One didn't vote. Kane didn't vote. Hillary Clinton voted against it. Here in Utah, I think Chris Stewart voted against it, our state representative. What? I mean, I think there was just a tiny hand. I mean, think about that. Yet, here he is, Trump, with them. I mean, of course, Biden with them. Of course, Obama with them. I mean, so who runs this country? I mean, honestly, who runs the United States? When the Saudis, funded by the Saudis, fly planes into the towers and create this nightmare. They mass murdered, 3,300 people that day, and we know who did it. We know who funded them. Again, the 20th freaking bomber is, the rest of them are still sitting at Gitmo, building private prisons. I mean, he's home in Saudi Arabia. And Trump I used to go to those rallies. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of videos of mine in New York at the holes. I mean, I used to go to the rallies, whatever. I used to participate. Nobody railed against the Saudis harder than I did. What are we doing? We're going off to Afghanistan? That's how I got the scar across my face. I had a bumper sticker on my car. Bush lied. Soldiers died. These were Saudis. These were not Afghanistan. This had nothing to do with Iraq. Saddam Hussein does not have weapons of mass destruction. These lies. Now, went off to Afghanistan to kill the Taliban. Went off to Iraq to kill Bagel Sack. Went off to Vietnam to kill the Viet Cong. How nice is freaking imperialist Putin, who's rising up in the same era? You know about their 9/11 when they caught him. And then he executed on it. I mean, make it rain in the Ukraine. I mean, these imperialists gone psycho. And no accountability to the Saudi royal family who funded. This is unarguable. Kyle Madsen, Kevin Blanche, you think that you might have taught them how to buy the puts on it? I very well could have. Because, that's what I did. I taught that class here at the #1 school of business. And I knew they were Saudis right off the get. The CIA interviewed me. They were going to develop and the FBI both interviewed me because they wanted to develop a program to identify derivative trades in front of different things. Of course, they balked on all that. Remember, they put the delay on. I traded so many derivatives in those days. You used to call the CBOE. I used to call them. They all knew my voice. Mr. Blanche, what strike, what expiration, and what equity you want? Give me some June. Out of the money, 150 connections. Next day, they were always there. But what happened? 9/11 happened. Then 3/11 happened. 9/11 to 3/11. Everything fell apart. Everything has fallen apart in this country. What a 21 years of, what a nightmare. And to all the family members that are protesting there, I love you guys. I've met so many of them. Remember when Trump used to support you guys? Talk about betray you. Benedict Trump. Obama betrayed them. Biden's not going to do anything for them. So who runs this country? Saudi royal family, it's obvious. How did they become the Saudi Arabia? The Saudi family took it over. Bin Laden? I thought his father built up the kingdom. He didn't do 9/11. Come on. They were Saudis. Trump used to go off on it beautifully. This is back when people, that's how Trump was able to get a lot of so-called lefties, a lot of different countercultures, because of his 9/11 rhetoric. He was all over it. He was on it. How come he changed? How come he changed? Swinging the sword, in bed with him, holding his hands on the globe. And now they do a lot for golf. You know, what the fuck? You know, and these betrayers. That piece of shit Mickelson, he's married to a girl from here. You know, who's a cancer survivor, by the way. Who are these people in bed with these Saudis? What, because they have money? You know, they killed how many people that day? And think about everything that's happened since. So I wanted to put this up. Kyle Madsen, Kevin Blanch, you think you taught them how to buy puts? Very likely, most likely did. They were going to school here. Yeah, remember, this was the #1 school of business in the United States, bar none. Bar none. You know, and I was Clyde Cooley's protege. And so, the water school of business. So, and Trump railed on him harder than anyone. Now look at him. How is it even possible? How is it even possible? How is it even possible? 9/11 to 3/11. What a journey. It's been ugly, right? Really. Yeah, I think about it. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. By the way, we were ahead of the curve. We had these signs up before the pandemic. What a 21 years, huh? Well, I'm blackballed here. They think. I just told the guy I was here before you got here. I'll be here after you. I've been here since 1968. 9/11 to 3/11. So I want to put up this in support of the families that are protesting at Trump's golf course right now. Benedict Donald. And look it up. Look up his rhetoric on Fukushima. Look it up. He used to go off on it perfectly, beautifully, just rail on the Saudis. These were the Saudis who did it. They funded it. It's unarguable. Now he's in bed. How is it possible? Stay tuned.